But if you're a Real Madrid fan, you got to really tell me, man, are you satisfied with this? Are you really satisfied with every game going out? Mbappe dives, draws a foul, gets a PK. First goal is always a penalty. It's like, are you really satisfied with the type of squad you have and the football you're playing? Welcome back, guys. Real Madrid wins today 2-0 versus Levante. Their first game back home in about two games. Because if we recall, the last home game that they had 2 games ago, a lot of jeering, a lot of people upset with Real Madrid. Then they go to the Super Cup. They lose in the final against Barcelona, playing really, really bad football, basically low block, parking the bus, and playing off the counterattack, playing the way a small team, a underdog, I guess you can say, in La Liga would play a team like Barcelona or just in general in Europe. So not a very fine moment by Real Madrid for their football. A team that has been built to win everything, to be dominant, be a dominant force, and their football doesn't reflect that. So you saw that in the final. They lost 3-2 to Barcelona. Then they have the Copa del Rey match after getting rid of Xabi Alonso. A surprise exit for a lot of people. A lot of Real Madrid fans were actually upset. They felt the blame was being given to the wrong person. Whereas Florentino decides it's the coach that needs to change. A lot of people are pointing at the players. They're pointing at specific players. And then a lot of them are pointing at Florentino Perez himself. So today was a huge game. Right back in the Bernabeu. Right back in Real Madrid Stadium. And the first thing you saw or you heard were the jeers. The crowd in the Bernabeu letting the world know, but letting their players know and their president know that they are not satisfied, that they are disappointed, that they are not happy, and that they're extremely frustrated with the football, with the results, with the image, with the identity or lack thereof. They were eliminated from 2 tournaments, technically, the Super Cup and the Copa del Rey, in back-to-back matches. They have 2 trophies to fight for, and it's the most important trophies, but they're continuing the fight in really bad form. So today it was important for the Real Madrid team to show up to the Bernabeu and to show that, they could still do it. They could still play good football. Today, they didn't play good football, at least not in the first half. In the second half, it got a little better after the goal, opens up the game a little bit, but they got the 3 points. And I guess when you're a new coach, when you're part of a new process, and when you've been in a bad run of form, I think a win is the best way to go into work the next morning, to go into training the next morning, to start working on improving, but with a little bit less pressure. You got the 3 points. That was the bare minimum, and they got it. So let's talk about the beginning of the game. The team goes into the field to warm up, and when they start calling the names of the players, specific players were pointed out and were jeered at, were booed. Vinny Jr. being one of them. His lack of form recently, his fight to not only remove the manager, but also to renew his contract with what he feels like he should be getting paid, something that matches or gets close to Mbappe. I think he wants to even be paid more than Mbappe. So that's the negotiation right now. Florentino won't budge with the price. Vinny says he's worth the price, but he hasn't been showing it in football. He hasn't been showing it in personality. He showed up in the Barcelona Clásico, the final of the Super Cup. But aside from that, in the Copa del Rey, he absolutely disappeared. And for many games before that, he had also disappeared. I think it was up to 18 or 19 games without a goal contribution, or I think without a goal, and with maybe 2 goal contributions in the last 18 games. So not the best. Then he shows up against Barcelona. Like I said, he disappears against Albacete in the cup. And today, he wasn't that much better, especially in the first half. Bellingham was also jeered. Bellingham, who the first year he gets to Real Madrid, shows to be a really, really good player for the system. He helps them win La Liga and the Champions League. La Liga, most importantly, he becomes La Liga player of the season for that season. And after that, he really has struggled to get back to that same form since last season, and this season especially. Valverde, I think with the other 2 that I mentioned, Vinny and Bellingham, Valverde as well. Those were the three players, the catalyst of what most people think the reason Xabi Alonso left early. Those three players were not satisfied with the way Xabi Alonso worked, and it was due to those three players, supposedly, right? Allegedly, we can say, that Xabi Alonso eventually gets fired. And then finally, Dean Howson, who has come to Real Madrid for, I think, 40, 50 mil in the summer, and started off really well, and slowly has been showing to not be the type of player with the type of temperament that it takes to be a starter in this Real Madrid squad. A lot of poor, disappointing, underwhelming performances by Dean Howson, and he was also booed. Now, it wasn't only those players being booed, but it was a couple players also being praised by the Real Madrid fan base today in the stadium. It was Gonzalo Garcia, who has been doing well. He had the hat trick before the Super Cup. He goes and scores a goal in the final, and then he scores a goal in the Copa del Rey game that eventually they get eliminated from, but, he's showing up. So a lot of good praise for the academy, the Real Madrid academy player. So good for him. And then obviously Kylian Mbappe. Maybe he hadn't done a lot in the final. Remember, he only played about 10 minutes. Didn't really touch the ball. He draws the foul for the expulsion of De Jong, but that's its extent. He didn't play the Copa del Rey match, but the Real Madrid fan base knows that when he's on the field, and he showed it today, he is a difference maker. So basically the game starts. First half is same old Real Madrid. Not really an idea of how to attack. They kept possession for the most part, created some chances here and there. They didn't really get attacked much from Levante. Let's remember that Levante is fighting to stay in the first division of La Liga. So it's not the best rival to take points away from this Real Madrid squad. But nonetheless, Real Madrid did pretty well on defense, pretty well to at least control the game in the first half. Although, like I said, not a lot of goal chances, not a lot of creation. The game goes into halftime 0-0, but when they come back about 5 minutes or 6 minutes in, Real Madrid with a play, Mbappe is released into the box. He takes the touch of the ball, gets fouled, draws the foul. In my opinion, kind of gets ready to dive before the foul even gets there, and he gets the penalty. So once again, penalty for Real Madrid. Mbappe puts it away, makes fun of the goalkeeper a little bit, and celebrates. And after that, the game opened up, basically. You started seeing a lot more attacks. Bellingham, Vinny a couple times as well. Güler, Mastantuono, all with shots. And then eventually comes the corner kick, drawn by Vinny, sent into the box by Güler. And Asensio rises to the occasion, headers it in. Absolute golazo, I'm not going to lie. But once again, 2 goals from 2 set pieces. One's a penalty, opens up the game. Second is a corner kick to close out the game. And that's been the Real Madrid of this season. If you ask me, it's kind of anti-football because football is about making plays and scoring goals in play. Real Madrid has scored so many goals this season from either the penalty spot or from a corner kick, and then sometimes from a free kick. But so many of their goals have come from that it's like a little bit underwhelming that you have this super team with Jude Bellingham, with Mbappe, with Vinny, with Rodrigo, with all these players that Real Madrid has invested in for so long. And the best you can do is get corner kick goals or penalty kick goals. It's honestly embarrassing. I would be embarrassed if I was a Real Madrid fan. But that's because I'm a Barcelona fan. We overvalue sometimes good football. You can win and you get the 3 points in a 1-0 or a 2-0 off a corner kick, and you're not really satisfied. You'll go home saying, yeah, we won, but we played bad. We played really bad, and for a Barcelona fan, that's not satisfying. For a Real Madrid fan, it's shown throughout history. A win is a win, and I think that's what Real Madrid goes home with. That's what the fans go home with. A win is a win. I guess enough to maybe stop the jeering, at least for today. But if you're a Real Madrid fan, you got to really tell me, man, are you satisfied with this? Are you really satisfied with every game going out? First goal is always a penalty. Mbappe dives, draws a foul, gets a PK, scores the PK, and then after that, either the game opens up or it stays like that, here and there. You got to go off a set piece. And it's like, are you really satisfied with the type of squad you have and the football you're playing that is producing just 2 set piece goals, and a lot of times having to rely on referees' decisions, having to rely on one moment of the game? I guess that's football. That is football. It really is. It is part of the game. But for me, I wouldn't be satisfied with that. And if you're a smart Real Madrid fan, I think you wouldn't be satisfied with that either. But at the same time, you see other Real Madrid fans that are completely okay with it. Hey, a win's a win. We got the 3 points. Let's go. And you know what the crazy thing about it is? If tomorrow, let's say Barcelona drops points, gets a tie, and then maybe against Atleti or against the same Real Madrid later on in the season, they drop points again, Real Madrid wins the league, and then that's it. It's like, yeah, you played all this beautiful football for Real Madrid just to win it in the end. And I guess that is the Real Madrid way. Winning is winning. But I don't know. It's for the love of football, for the love of the beautiful game and the artistry that it takes to play the game beautifully, I wouldn't be satisfied. But that's why I'm not a Real Madrid fan. That's why I'm a Barcelona fan. It's in the DNA, man. It's in the blood of the football watcher. Sometimes you love football a certain way, and sometimes you love football in a different way. And for me, I wouldn't be satisfied one bit with how Real Madrid played today. Now, the other thing we must ask is this sustainable? Is that going to cut it in Champions League, quarterfinals, semifinals? Is that going to cut it depending on a penalty, depending on set pieces to score? Or, will a better team get the better of you in those situations? I think PSG has shown that they can do it. Arsenal has shown they can do it. Liverpool, who's in a terrible run of form, got their only win within a span of 10 games, 11 games against Real Madrid. So playing like that, I don't think it's going to cut it. I don't think it's going to cut it for Champions League at least. La Liga maybe, because it's shown, man. And, I'm not scared to say it. Real Madrid gets so favored by referees. So in La Liga, there's going to be ways for them to hold on. If they could get a penalty every game like they have been as of late, they won't have a hard time getting 3 points after 3 points after 3 points, week after week after week. But in the Champions League is going to be tougher, especially you go against a Bayern Munich, you go against a Chelsea, you go against Arsenal again, City, PSG, the list goes on and on. You go against a team like that, I don't think it's going to cut it. I don't. And yeah, Real Madrid has the players to make it happen, but as of now, they don't have the football to make it happen. So let's see, man. So what's next? Now, we're going to go a little bit into the future, a little bit into the end of the season, and supposedly Erling Haaland is once again on the Real Madrid radar. Florentino says that it's his prime mission to get Erling Haaland this summer. And if he gets Haaland, he looks to secure Jurgen Klopp for the coaching job. So that's going to change completely what Real Madrid is. However, will it change it for the good? We're already seeing egos clashing. We're already seeing too many players in the same position. And we're seeing that La Liga, it's very hard to sign players, expensive players. Real Madrid's going to have to make some type of move in the offseason to unload stars. Will it be Rodrigo? Will it be Vinny, who hasn't re-signed his contract, renewed his contract yet? If it's not Vinny, he's out this summer because Real Madrid will look to profit off of a player like Vinny and not let his contract run out and let him leave for free. They want the money that Vinny's worth. Vinny can end up being 150, 160, 170 mil straight to Real Madrid's bank. And from there, you move Kylian Mbappe to the wing, you bring in Erling Haaland, and all of a sudden you have two of the best attackers in the world at the moment on your team. Now, how is that going to work with ego? Who knows? Who's going to win the Ballon d'Or if either of them have a good season? Who knows also? That's the question I would ask myself if I'm Erling Haaland. Why am I going to go to a team where I'm going to compete with my teammate to win Ballon d'Or? I'd rather go to a team like Barca. Now, Barca can't afford it, so whatever, it is what it is. There you're going to be competing with Lamine Yamal and Rafinha also. but it's a little different, I think. Either way, that's the most long-term future of Real Madrid that we're going to talk about today. Now, more short-term, what comes next is the Champions League. A game against Monaco, a game that on paper Real Madrid should win. But like I said, with the run of form that they're in, will it be enough? And we won't know, but we will know during the week. I think Alvaro Arbeloa, the way I see him, he's very quiet. He was giving a lot more instructions today than in the Copa del Rey match. To be fair, he only had half a day of training before that game. But today he was a little more vocal, but he's a very serious guy. He seems to be really in control of his emotions. So let's see, man. Maybe this might be what Real Madrid needed. They needed a coach like him. But I guess a bittersweet sensation. If I'm a Real Madrid fan, I'm happy because we won. I'm not so satisfied with the football, but it's just the beginning for Alvaro Arbeloa. And if I'm a Real Madrid fan, I have some sort of hope, right? Seeing this. So let's see. But to me, same old Real Madrid today, except you got the 3 points, but same old way of getting the 3 points that they've shown all season during La Liga. A penalty, a set piece, 3 points in the bag, help from the referee. Mbappe continues to be highest scorer, scoring another PK. So that's where we're at right now. But guys, let me know what you think about Real Madrid. Tomorrow, Barcelona plays a super difficult match against Real Sociedad. Reminder, Real Sociedad had lost 2-1 to Barcelona. I think now we go to Real Sociedad, if I'm not mistaken. That's all I want to talk about today. Catch me in the comments. Like it if you like it, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.